Hello, hello, dear friends. Today we have Tamara Andreas with us. Thank you so much, Tamara, for joining us. It is
Oh, thank
a
you.
joy, a joy. Yes, I'm going to start with your bio to introduce. Tamara Andreas is co-author of the book Core Transformation, Reaching the Wellspring Within. As an international trainer, she has helped thousands of seminar participants in more than 12 countries benefit from life-changing methods, including the wholeness work and core transformation. She has also developed advanced core transformation formats to meet the needs of a wider range of clients. Her own client work includes deep levels of transformation, making change easier and more complete. In addition, through Andreas NLP, Tamara works with Mark Andreas to deliver advanced and certification trainings in core transformation. Tamara's passion is to share methods that are uniquely effective at helping each of us reach a sense of being a new person. This doesn't mean that we become someone else. It means that we become more of our own true natural self, which turns out to be even better than any other resource we could come up with. This can allow life to be easier, more fulfilling, more harmonious. What I love about core transformation and the wholeness work is that not only do we change limiting patterns in our lives, we can also increasingly access a deep sense of ongoing well being. And the experience itself is so kind and gentle. It brings me such joy to see people who've been struggling for years, even decades, to make changes, suddenly having tools that are effective at transforming their lives from inside out, says Tamara. In her private practice, she primarily uses core transformation and the wholeness work for change work, and sometimes also includes metaphors of movement and other methodologies as useful for individual clients. Her sessions are available over Zoom. Yes, Tamara. What a joy that we get to cover wholeness work and core transformation and metaphors of movement with you and Conore and Mark. It's a blessing, nothing less than a blessing. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, you're so welcome, and thank you, Tchera, for bringing these wonderful methodologies to so many people. I really appreciate the work that you're doing to make this happen.
Thank you. So please tell us, Tamara, what is core transformation exactly, and what are the benefits that it brings?
Okay, yeah. So core transformation is a gentle process for changing behaviors, thoughts, or feelings. And the process itself feels like we're being kind to ourselves. With many times when people are trying to change, they find themselves judging themselves and struggling with themselves, and we don't do that with core transformation, where being even more kind to ourselves, and yeah, and it's very effective. It works with such a wide range of things. And it can be a healing or transformation that sometimes feels mild and often feels quite profound. And the results often surprise people. Like for one thing, just the fact that we can change, things we don't like, and at the same time become more and more of our true selves, more of our authentic selves, so that we're not having to work at putting on an act. We're just, being ourselves, right?
Yes. So, how about I would like to also ask you, because we have here an audience, myself very much included, of the with the habit of overdoing and overthinking and overworking, and
Mhm.
kind of getting lost in this. I got to do more, more, more.
Yes.
Okay. How does core transformation also help with this kind of situation?
Yes. For example, many people who are very committed to making changes in their lives are doing it by putting forth a lot of effort. And so that's usually what people do when they don't have a way of actually changing at the unconscious level. So they're doing it by struggling with themselves and using willpower, try to force themselves to be different. And it usually doesn't work, and it can even make things worse. So, like for example, there was a man who was in sales, and what he didn't like, what he wanted to change was that he had this internal pressure to make the sale, and he tried to just stop having this pressure. He tried to just let it go, and the more he tried to let it go, the worse it got, actually. And he thought he was going to have to change his careers because it was just so unpleasant. And so when he did core transformation, then it's like the whole thing just changed easily from the inside out. He didn't have to struggle anymore. And yeah, it changed completely just in one session. This was actually at a training that he was at. It changed completely in one session. And as a result, he felt so much more sense of ease with his customers, and his sales doubled for one of his main lines and increased greatly for his other main line, because he could just easily focus on the customer and what the customer wanted and needed. And so that's an example. And there's just so many people out there who are trying to push themselves into being different and working harder and harder at it. And with this, we can let go of that effort and instead experience change happening naturally from the inside out.
Yes, I know this from experience, and so it's easier to follow. And also, even after experience, it seems like, wow, like how does this exactly work? Like how is it even possible? That because it was so effortless, because it was so gentle and natural, that how was it? Because can you explain how is it that it works? Because we are not doing it with our mind, we're doing something different here altogether, aren't we?
Yes, it is. It's different altogether. And as far as how it works, so there are, we could say, three keys for how it works, how it is so effective. And so, as you are already mentioning, the first key is that we're accessing the unconscious part of us that has been creating the problem experience in the first place. And so we're not imposing something on our unconscious mind. We're accessing this unconscious part. And this is kind of like getting to the right URL inside. You know how it is. If you're not at the right URL, then nothing's going to work, right? And so that's the first thing that we do. And then the second key is that we access the exact right resource that's needed, and we get this resource through the part that has been causing the problem. And so we're not just consciously thinking, oh, I need more confidence, and then kind of imposing that on ourselves. Instead, we're discovering through this unconscious part that has been causing the problem, what is this part's deepest yearning? And so then we can satisfy the deepest yearning of our unconscious parts. Now, when I say unconscious parts, some people might not have heard that kind of language before, but it basically means, when we have some kind of struggle, well, it isn't all of us that is creating the problem, so to speak, because, some of us wants to do something different. So it's just a part of us that is causing, like for example, the anxiety or blaming myself or anger or like eating too many sweets or whatever it is we want to change. It's an unconscious part of us that's creating that. And so that's where we need to go, and we need to find this part and to help this part actually get its deepest yearning, to satisfy its deepest needs. So then it doesn't have to eat too many sweets. It doesn't have to feel anxious or whatever it was, because the deepest need of this inner part has now been satisfied. And so those are the first two keys. And then now, when we get to this deepest need of the part, or deepest yearning of this unconscious part, it's always something really wonderful that's at a beingness level. And in core transformation, we call this a core state, as you know. And so it could be something like oneness or presence or peace or, I mean, there are different words for these things and different kind of qualities, but it's always something that's at a beingness level, and it's a felt experience. It's an energetic sense of it. It's not just a mental concept. It's like, oh gosh, now I really have this experience. I don't even have a name for it, people say sometimes. I'll just call it this or that. And so, yeah, so that core state is the resource that then transforms the whole problem. And so then the third key for how core transformation works is that we integrate this core state with all of our experience as a human being. And we could just use a very simple model. We could call this the 3 B's of human experience. So this core state, like let's say we get to a sense of just joy that's just like it's not like just being happy about something because something went well. It's just like this intrinsic joy, this like life force kind of experience. And so this core state then, well, it's great we can get to it, but then what about all those challenging experiences we have in life, right? So with core transformation, we integrate this core state with our sense of being and with all of our beliefs, all of the limiting beliefs that we have had are become transformed with a core state. And also it transforms the behavioral level. So whatever we were doing or feeling or thinking, this is all transformed with the core state. And so yeah, so we don't just access a core state. Some people get, similar states through meditation if they're super good at it. But then the problem is, okay, they can have these core states when they're sitting by themselves meditating, but they don't necessarily change anything. With core transformation, we access these core states through the part that had been causing the problem. And then the core states change everything because we integrate the core state with our sense of being, with our beliefs, with our behaviors, so that as a whole person, like every level of my experience is transformed.
So beautiful. My experience has been exactly the opposite of the meditation process. I found that after core transformation, I can actually, those parts don't have to distract me, and I can actually meditate better after core transformation. It's so aligned. And, if we're doing meditation to get somewhere, to get something, then that's not really the meditation as far as I understand it anyways, right?
Right,
So,
right.
yes,
Yes, and other people have told us this too. People who have a meditation practice, and obviously there's value in that too, then doing core transformation can transform whatever has been distracting them from meditating. And
yes,
I know this isn't our topic for today, but also the wholeness work is really great for that too.
yes.
Yeah, that's the
Yes,
feedback we've gotten too. Yeah.
yes, yes.
Mm.
And so I've also experienced many times that some parts are coming up together, like as soon as something problematic thing comes up. And before I forget, I also I had a question as I was hearing you speaking, and I don't want to lose that one too. So I have found that because the core state is so that it's already there, it seems to me that all the things that this unconscious part was doing to for this yearning, to fulfill this yearning, are just not necessary anymore. It's just, and it already knows this core state. That's why it wants it, right? Because it couldn't want something it didn't have in the first place, but it lost access to it, and then somehow it started, if I do this and if I do that and then that and that and that and then the other, and then I can get it. So please, can you
Yeah.
speak a little bit to that? How we all these doings of extra things to get there kind of like just fall off naturally without doing anything, just by having the experience of the core state. Does this
Yeah.
make sense? Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
curious. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And so I can just give a short example I think might be helpful. So one time I was using core transformation for myself. And by the way, I'll just mention that I learned core transformation more than 30 years ago, and I still benefit from it. So it's something, it's not just we learn it and then we use it for a little while and we're done with it. You know, it's for so many people, if you stick with it, you can keep benefiting for years, for decades, for the rest of your life. Um, and so anyway, so I was working with this yucky feeling that I got when it was time to do a certain task. And so as I was doing core transformation, I stepped into the experience of, having this yucky feeling, and I got in touch with this part of myself, and I asked the part, "What do you want?" And the answer that I got back was safety. Now, consciously, I'm going to guess that you and I will probably agree that the part doesn't really, that doing this task is probably not a safety issue, that our safety is probably not really in jeopardy there for just doing this task. However, at an unconscious level, it's different. It's like for this unconscious part of me, it felt like a safety issue. It felt like, oh, it would be unsafe if I did that task, even though that might not make sense rationally, but that's what came up when I was working with this part. And so then I invited this part to step into what it would be like if it already had safety fully and completely. And when we do this, Tchera, we're already redirecting this part's attention, because most likely we could guess that this part probably hasn't really felt safe for years and years and years, you know. And so now we're inviting this part to step into what it would be like to already have safety just the way that it wants, fully and completely. And then we ask the part, through feeling safe, what do you want? And this time the answer that I got back was a sense of relief and relaxing. And I could just feel my whole body, I could feel my breathing change, and my whole body was changing as I was getting this response from this inner part. And so, already it's feeling better. And then so I continued doing it in this way, inviting the part to step into what it's like to have what it wants, and what do you want through that, and etc. And then it finally got to a state that it was really beyond words, but the word that I could give was a sense of beingness. Just, I could describe this as like a sense of my own essence or my own energy. It's just a felt sense of this. And so, yeah, so so we could say that this part was trying to reach this profound sense of beingness through putting off that task, through feeling yucky when I thought about doing that task. Obviously, that's not going to work. The part's not going to get to a sense of beingness going about it that way, right? And so this whole plan that this part had just wasn't effective at all. So this poor part never got to experience a sense of beingness going about it that way. And so then with core transformation, we teach this inner part that it can just step into experiencing beingness. We don't have to do anything or get anything first. We can just be in the state of beingness. Now through the process, the part has accessed it. And then we can just have it as an ongoing way of being, we could say. And so that, with the beingness already there, well, then, it wasn't a safety issue anymore. It's like then the part already felt basically safe. And with the beingness already there, if there was something dangerous, then, it's possible to notice it. But generally, most of the time we're actually safe. And so, yeah, and so then this inner part didn't need to create that yucky feeling, didn't need to stop me from doing the task. And so then this part felt, you know, at least neutral or maybe even a little bit positive about doing the task. And then there was nothing then that stopped me from going ahead with that.
So you were able to do the task without the yucky feeling, and
Mhm.
the beingness was available without having to go through it. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And of course, Tara, there's more to it than just what I'm saying here, more like important steps that cause it to be effective. But I'm just giving kind of the highlights so that everybody can understand
Yes.
like the core of it, of what we're doing.
Yes, thank you. Yeah,
Mm.
and hopefully we'll get a little taster with you too in a while. And I'm wondering
Right.
also, as I was hearing you speak about this language of parts, because
Hmm.
I know people who are doing different kinds of parts works, and I
Hmm.
know that this is fundamentally different in many ways. Is that right? Is it correct to say that? And if so, how would you explain this, please?
Yeah, yeah, thanks. I'll give at least a short answer to that. There's really more to it than just what I'll have time to say. But one way that it's different is that for many kinds of parts work, it's like it's about accessing an inner part and then just kind of encouraging them to express themselves and go on and tell their story and blah blah blah. And so doing this, now it's not that there isn't any upside to that. There is an upside. Then a person can have more understanding. This inner part can feel respected, and these are good things. Um, it's just that that can take really a lot of time without leading to actual change because these inner parts of us, well, they don't know how to change either. So if we just let them do what they do and express themselves, they'll feel better that they got to express themselves. But that doesn't actually lead to change. It leads to understanding. And so that's one thing that's different from many approaches. Then another way that it's different is that because we get to the core state and the each inner part then gets to be transformed from the inside out with the core state, then this allows, and then there's another thing we do as well, and then this allows this inner part to integrate so that we don't we don't no longer need to have that inner separation. And so we can end up having more sense of wholeness so that we don't need to go through life as a collection of parts so much. More and more and more, we can experience wholeness and making choices as a whole being rather than having this negotiation between this part and that part and that, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So, yeah, so we can experience more and more wholeness going through life. So those are two key differences, I would say, between what we do and a lot of parts work. Now, that said, people who do other kinds of parts work, there's, I'd say virtually always something good about what they're already doing. There's a lot of really positive teachings in some of these other parts work methods. It's just that with core transformation, we get to actually heal the inner parts in a way that's super effective and very systematic and reliable. We don't have to take, sessions and sessions and sessions, and then maybe we'll never get there, but at least the part feels better because it's understood now. Um, so instead, we get to very directly and systematically help these parts to actually heal.
Yes, yes, and yes, and I also, my experience also has been that as we integrate more and more parts, more
Mhm.
and more integration almost seems like it happens on its own. It has its momentum of that it bleeds into daily life, even when I'm not working on anything. I am experiencing things changing. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for mentioning that. And yeah, with core transformation, people often get changes in other areas that they didn't even work on. And, we can't really say that about very many methods. So I can give an example of that. So there was a woman who came to the seminar, and at that time, her number one issue had to do with money. And so she made plenty of money. She had a good salary, but she spent kind of compulsively or impulsively on little things that she didn't really need, or, it weren't things that she really wanted, but it gave her this temporary good feeling, this temporary high. And so she came to the seminar then. She told me later it never even occurred to her to work on this. So she said maybe I might not have even believed it could change. So she worked on other things at the seminar, and then she went out into her regular life. And after 6 weeks or a couple months went by, she noticed that her bank balance was going up and up. And she was like, what? Why is this happening? Because previously she just spent all her money from paycheck to paycheck. But now her bank balance was going up. And then she thought about it and she realized that because she now had this greater ongoing sense of well-being, that she didn't need to spend money just to get a little temporary high from this or that little, shiny object, that wasn't really important to her. And so yeah, and that just happened by itself because of this ongoing sense of well-being that she was experiencing.
Yes.
Yeah, and also we get this kind of report from many people, and research as well shows that typical results include both changing behaviors, changing thoughts, changing feelings, and also having a greater ongoing sense of well-being.
Yes. And I'm wondering how we might be able to put this into this perspective of hypervigilance and play mind again, because
Mm.
this viewer, play mind is my wording. It's not my wording. It's from Tinley Norbu Rinpoche, and it is, in my understanding, it is a core state. It's a very much so a core state that uh, that bleeds into everything. And so, how we only can have one thought at a time, right? We can't have the play mind and hypervigilance at the same moment. So we either have one or the other. How do you think core transformation can make this kind of switch? What is actually happening, would you say, when I'm finding myself in hypervigilance behavior? It's a little bit
Mm.
different than spending money per se.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
So would you tell me a little bit more about what's an example of what you would call hypervigilance? Because
Mm.
you might have one idea about it, I might have another, somebody
Ah,
watching might have yet another. So how
ah,
would you define hypervigilance?
I would love to hear your definition too. And my experience of what I'm calling hypervigilance is the time when I find myself, thankfully, I don't do this anymore, but when I would find myself in a choppy kind of activity that I'm really getting in there, putting 120%, I wish, and doing something with all I've got, and
Mhm.
and even thinking this is a achievement, that this is something to be proud about, that I am
Mhm.
putting all I have into some activity to,
Mhm. Mhm.
sort of thing. So it's a very choppy feeling, though.
Ah,
There's a jarred quality to the energy around it. So when I
mhm.
actually find myself doing it, it doesn't feel good. It
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
overextending and I'm
Mhm.
over using my energy, which I don't need to use. I could
Right.
do the same thing with half the energy, really, but I'm using
Right.
so much more. Because it
Okay.
has, and my understanding from my analytical understanding is that it has to do, in my experience anyway, with wanting to manipulate and control situations. So it has
Okay.
a safety thing behind it, maybe.
Right, right. Okay. So yeah, thank you for just sharing your experience of this hypervigilance. And so when this is happening, so there's this choppy kind of energy that it looks like kind of a fast tempo, and a
Mhm.
fair amount of tension goes into it, and effort is going into it, it looks like, as you're describing this,
Mhm.
and kind of overdoing, trying to force something to happen, it looks like,
Yes.
and trying to control things that I'm going to guess aren't really in your control. Is that right? You
Well,
know?
like the scenario that I was thinking of as I was explaining it was as I was gardening. So
Mhm,
my understanding was I can get this amount of work done in this little time if I really
mhm,
go for it. In one
mhm,
hour I can get the whole thing done, you know.
mm,
So I would think that it would be under my control if I extended myself,
mhm.
kind of situation. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. So that's happening. And so as you're talking, everything that you're saying gives me the idea that it's not really congruent with you. You know what I'm saying? It's unpleasant. You feel like you're pushing yourselves, blah, blah, blah. So that's the first thing that I noticed about it, is it's not really congruent with your deepest inner nature, we could say. And because you don't like it, you have this experience, you don't like this experience of it, and you think consciously, that you could probably get just as much done without all that extra, tension and force and like choppy energy, if you just let it happen more easily. And so it's not congruent with your deepest level of being. So then when we do the core transformation with this, with that inner part that is generating this hypervigilance, we find out what does this inner part want. And I'm going to make this up, of course, but it might say, well, I want control, right? I want to be able to control this, right? So then we invite the part to step into this control. What do you want through this? And it might be a sense of, so that everything will be okay, as an example. These kinds of things come up, and it might go in a different direction because we can't figure these things out consciously. But when we do core transformation, we'll find out what the actual answer is from this inner part. This is just one example of how it might go. So perhaps it wants this for everything to be okay. And then, we go on through the process, maybe so that I am okay, and then on and on. And if we get to a core state of some kind of beingness, being a state. So let's say we get to a state of presence, or what's the core state that comes up for you often, Tchera?
Joy comes up pretty often
Joy.
for me.
Okay,
Mhm.
so let's say that this part then gets to this core state of joy, and not just as an idea, but gets to step into it. So now this part has the experience of this joy, and now this part can discover that the joy can be there in an ongoing way. No matter what happens with the gardening, this joy can be there. And with this joy already there, then this makes it easy and effortless to have a sense of I'm okay. And it can transform that whole area of, everything's all right. And also with this joy already there, then this part can discover that it's not really about trying to control everything. We don't need to try to control everything. We can just make choices, right? We can just make easy choices, and then let things be in the flow of life. That's something that people sometimes say as we're in this phase of the process. Is it's like, I can just let things flow rather than trying to, really put a lot of effort into controlling things. Let things, and it's not that I don't put any effort in, but I can put effort in as an expression of this sense of joy, rather than with this kind of choppy energy or, kind of frenetic kind of quality to it. And so then then the part can discover what it's like with the sense of joy already there. How can this joy be expressed through gardening, and can then do the gardening kind of from the sense of joy, and possibly in an even more efficient way than before, because
Definitely.
before there was a lot of energy going into it, right?
Yeah.
But oftentimes when there's this hypervigilance, like you're describing it, often that makes it actually harder to let things happen efficiently and just let things just flow. And so it's quite possible that you would actually end up getting the same amount done in less time, or in the same amount of time, or even less. Um, and yeah, so now there's something else I'm going to say on this, Tchera,
Mm.
and that is that with core transformation, oftentimes, when there is one part of us that's out of balance in one direction, there's also another part that's out of balance in the opposite direction. And I don't know if you found this to be the case for this area for you, but for many people, if there
Oh,
is a hypervigilant part of themselves, we could say, there may also be another part of themselves that is kind of the opposite of that. And, they might, and the word for this might be different from one person to another, but, like one person might say, oh, there's this lazy part, or there's this part that resists doing anything, or something along those lines. And what's wonderful about core transformation is that there's, there's no such thing as resistance, or there's no such thing as resistance that we can't transform, because if there is a part that has been resisting, that part also wants something really positive. That part also, can be a doorway to an incredible blessing. And by transforming and integrating both sides of this, we could say, can allow things then to flow even more easily, and we can be even more kind to ourselves as we go about our gardening, or our writing projects, or our house cleaning, or whatever it is that we're doing.
yes. And it is also so much more energy sufficient. I think it's actually creates more efficiency because the hypervigilance and ends up, you do it until it's exhausted. And then you
Mhm.
have no energy left and you feel burnt out. And then that's actually kind of like the lazy part, which is okay, I'm done. There's no more
Right,
energy. I'm like,
right.
about to faint now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Because if we're just burning up all this extra energy that we don't really need to be expending, then we're not going to have that energy for something else later then.
Yeah, and
So,
where's the joy in that, huh? Yes.
yeah, exactly. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, and as I was hearing you speaking, two things came up for me. The one of them is the surprise aspect, which is
Mhm,
so much the play mind for me. And
mhm,
when we're doing core transformation, I'm always finding, and when I'm guiding also, I see people finding like, oh, I didn't expect that, like as if it's coming from out of nowhere, like it is so unconscious that we're
mhm.
so surprised. It's like, wow, I didn't think I would that did that come out of me? It's like
Right.
that's surprising, right?
Yes, very often. And yeah, I wouldn't say it's always a big surprise,
Yes,
but very, very often
sometimes,
it is.
sometimes,
Yeah.
yes,
That we ask this part, what do you want? And get the answer, and it's like, huh, where did that come from? And then the core states also, we get to the core state, it's like, whoa, I didn't even know that that was there, and here I have it,
yes,
you know.
yes.
So yeah, for
So
sure.
good, so good.
And
And
what's great, yeah, go ahead.
please.
Yeah. And what's great is to just kind of, even if we do have a conscious idea of, where it might be going, to just let that go and be in a kind of discovery mindset and find out, and just be open to the possibility that it may be a surprise.
Yes.
And I would say most of the time, or maybe even almost all the time, there's something about the outcome chain that the person wasn't expecting. Yeah.
Mhm. Yes, yes,
The outcome chain, that's kind of technical jargon. That just means like these, whatever it is that the part wants and what they went through that, and etc., all the way to the core state. We call that an outcome chain.
and the choices, we have so much more choices appear. We only
Mm,
see such a narrowed down possibilities when we're in
yes.
that thing, and then as we come to the core state, now there's choices all over the place. It's really like, ah, Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So, because previously that part was just locked into that one choice, like for example, the hypervigilance. And so, and with core transformation, we don't ever actually take away any choices. So at the end of the process, this part still has the choice of hypervigilance. However, because now it has this whole big range of choices available to it, it's likely to choose something else. It's going to choose whatever is congruent with that inner state of being or presence or love or oneness or whatever the core state is, or joy. And so then it can choose something that's really congruent instead of choosing something that just really wasn't congruent.
Yeah, and it's one thing to put effort into something coming from joy or oneness, and it's another thing coming from I gotta get this okay, otherwise, it's a yeah, the congruency is the key over here. So, time goes fast when we're
No,
having fun. Yes,
I
yes.
know, totally.
Yes. Would you like to have a little tester for us, or would you like to do something else? How would you like to spend more of our time that we have a little more of? We're not
Yeah,
done yet.
yeah. Yeah, thank you. I'd love to do a little bit of a tester thing. And so this is like I can guide everybody who's watching and listening. Um, and of course, I can't adjust the timing for each individual person and things like that, but I can just do a general guide so that everyone can experience at least the first few steps of the process. And then along the way, some of you will go with me the whole way, and some maybe just the first few steps. And however you go along, however far you go with me is just fine. It'll be a way to dip your toe in, maybe even a whole foot, maybe even up to your knee.
I'm
Okay.
not gonna miss a chance to go for the ride ever. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Okay. So I'll guide you then, Tchera, and then everybody else, along listening and watching can go along with us. Okay. So, first is just to set aside all of your notes if you're taking notes or anything else that might be distracting, and make yourself physically comfortable. And that's right. And yeah, adjust your posture if you need to be comfortable. And then close your eyes and let your attention go inward. And notice all of the inner experience, the space throughout the body. There can be a sense of space around. And just have a sense of allowing the body to relax, however much happens easily. And that's right. And now think of something you'd like to change. And it could be any kind of feeling. Think of something mild to moderate, though, to explore. So it could be a mild sense of like an anxious feeling or nervous feeling. It could be being annoyed by somebody. It could be a sense of judging yourself. It could be, yeah, an inner sense of um, embarrassment. That's another one. Something mild to medium, though, that would be okay to explore. And now think of a recent time when this happened. A recent time when you had this response or this thought or this behavior. And now please step into the moment that this was happening. This, thing, behavior, thought, or feeling that you'd like to change was happening. So pretend like it's happening right now so you can see what you saw, hear what you heard at the time, feel the feelings that happen in the situation. So you're noticing as that pattern that you want to change is beginning to occur in your experience. Now, since you didn't consciously generate this, it's as though an unconscious part of you did. And now begin noticing or sensing, where is this inner part that is causing this behavior or response or pattern of thinking that you want to change. It could be anywhere in the body or in the space around. And when you begin sensing where the part is, you can just thank the part for being there. Welcome the part. Now, if anybody isn't noticing a location of the part, that's okay. It's all right to just guess. You could even ask yourself on the inside, all right, if I did know where this part is, where would it be? And just noticing where this part is, the part that's generating what you want to change, the experience you want to change. And then again, just thank this part for being there on the inside. Now, that might seem like a strange thing to do because, after all, this is something we want to change, right? However, we're not thanking the part for the behavior, thought, or feeling that we want to change that's, hasn't been working very well for us. We're thanking the part for being there because we can already know that it wants something positive. It wants something that has value, even if we don't know what it is yet. And then on the inside, we can ask this part, what do you want? Just let this question float over to the part, wherever the part is. What do you want? And then just relax and notice what response comes back from the location of the part. And the response that you get from this part could be an image, could be sounds, could be feelings. And whatever it is, just please thank this part for its response. Now, some people watching and listening might not be noticing a response. And if that's so, that is also okay. In this case, then just please again, thank the part for being there. And that is something that you can do. And with this intention of thanking the part for being there, then you might even already notice some shift in your inner experience, even if it's a subtle one. Okay, now, meanwhile, I'll continue for those who are noticing a response. So thank the part for its response, for letting us know what it wants. And now, please invite this part to step into or breathe into what it is like to have what it wants, fully and completely. So, for example, if the part said it wants safety, invite the part now to step into what it's like to already have safety, fully and completely. Or if the part said it wants love or some kind of response from other people, invite the part to step into what it's like to already have that fully and completely. Or if the part said it wants success or for something to happen in the world, to step into what this is like to have this happening in the world fully and completely, or whatever it is. Yeah. And then, as this part is experiencing what it's like to already have what it wants, you can ask this part, when you already have this, what do you want through already having this that is even deeper, even more important or core? And then just notice what's the next response coming back from this part. And if you're getting a response, so then again, you can thank this part for its response and invite this part to step into or breathe into what it's like to have this, the next one, fully and completely. That's right. Just inviting this part to ease into or relax into this next one that it wants. Yeah. And then when this part is fully experiencing this, you can ask this part, and what do you want through already having this that is even deeper yet, even more important or core? Yeah. And let's just give it a little time so that you can continue at your own pace. So anytime you get a response, then on the inside, you can say, thank you for this response. And then you can invite the part to step into what it's like to have this fully and completely, just the way this part wants. And then when the part's ready, again, you can ask the part, when you have this fully and completely, what do you want through already having this that's even deeper yet, even more important or more core? Yeah. And actually, I won't give a lot of time for that because, of course, people can always pause it if they want to spend more time on it. So, yeah, so Tchera, just now I was guiding you a little bit. Would you like to say a little bit about how this experience was for you? I'm
Okay,
curious.
thank you, thank you. Yes, it was great. I find that the more I do it, the smoother it becomes, and the less steps really that it takes to get to a core state. Because the more parts they know the process now, and so they want to get to the core state faster. So this was and with your beautiful guidance, of course. I had, what did I have? I had to be productive and to
Mhm,
do good. And
mhm,
then I had joy again. And then
mhm.
I had unity, oneness.
Mm, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's just so wonderful. And yeah, and some of the people watching, some of them might have just gotten to the point of thanking the part for being there.
Yes.
And this is already a profound shift in our experience because usually these are inner parts that we've been struggling with. And now we can discover how it is to thank them for being there. And so, yeah, so however far you got, it's already a start and it's something to build on with additional experience with core transformation.
Yes, I think, the ability to truly thank the part is a huge step. It's a big step. I mean, I know for myself, it wasn't so natural because I wanted to tell these parts what to do. No, 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 you don't get to talk. Go, go, go. Do it, do it, do it. There was so many parts making the other parts do things and all of this. So, it takes time and just actually to thank the parts allows so many more parts to be relaxed and to come up and say, "Hey, I'd like some of this." Actually, the first time I came across core transformation was through one of your interviews somewhere. And I remember thinking, watching you and Mark, and thinking, oh, I want to have what they're having. Yeah.
Yay. And I'm glad that you're having what we're
Yes,
having.
so
We
am
can
I.
all have
Yes.
it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tamara. Please tell us finally that I know you have a free gift for everyone. And I know
Yes.
I'll be going grabbing it. And what is it, please?
Yes, actually two free gifts. So one is an 83-minute, I believe it is about 80-minute introduction to core transformation. And of course, there will be a lot of overlap between what we talked about here and that. However, sometimes, hearing it a little bit different words, and also some of it is not overlapping, some of it is different. It also includes a demonstration of guiding someone through the process. So that's one of the free gifts. And then the other free gift is a new microbook that I just wrote about core transformation. And yeah, and so it's a way that you can learn more than what we just talked about right here. You can learn about the whole first two phases of the process. And even it gives the step-by-step words to use to guide yourself through the process. And of course, you and I both know, Tchera, that it's easier if we have somebody else guiding us, especially as we're learning it. However, I think it's really useful to have ways to explore it on your own, so that you can have a sense of, do I like where this goes? Is this something that is congruent and harmonious with me and what I want for myself in life? Do I want to have the experience of being in my core state and living life from a core state?
Yes, beautiful. Thank you. And then it's easy enough to reach you and find core transformation coaches through you and everywhere. Yes. Thank you so much, Tamara. Thank you. I so
Yes,
appreciate it. Beautiful. Thank you,
yes.
everyone.
You are so welcome, Tchera, and I'm so happy to have you amongst our core transformation coaches. So.
Thank you, everyone.